Jeremy Renner. CCBC has joined CC Month, a month-long grassroots education and stigma-busting campaign coordinated by the Association of Community College Trustees. The primary goals of CC Month are to improve awareness of the economic, academic, and equity advantages of attending community colleges and to bust longtime stigmas wrongly associated with public two-year colleges. The child welfare system in Pennsylvania faces a staffing crisis that affects children and families throughout the system. The Child Welfare Resource Center says about 30 counties report vacancy rates of 30% or higher. Danielle Smith reports on state lawmakers' search for answers.
At a state Senate hearing on child welfare challenges, Terry Clark with the Pennsylvania Council of Children, Youth, and Family Services suggested the Departments of Education and Human Services work together to develop a STEM-focused model for human services. It could offer young people opportunities for training, apprenticeships, and careers in child welfare, juvenile justice, and behavioral health.
We spend a lot of time focusing on colleges and universities, but we believe we might want to back this up a little bit and start looking at middle schools and high schools, trying to reinvigorate, get younger students motivated and trying to come into this field.
Clark says some agencies have asked supervisors and even people from other departments to take on caseworker responsibilities. A recent Philadelphia study found community umbrella agencies had an average 45% turnover rate, with vacancies ranging from 21 to 60 positions.
Our newscast this hour was being brought to you by the J&J Spratt Funeral Home in New Brighton.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Breezy with showers and thunderstorms expected through the early afternoon. We could see wind gusts over 20 miles per hour. It'll be very warm with a high of 77. The showers and thunderstorms will continue tonight. We'll drop down to a low of 56. Sunshine tomorrow with a high of 73. And showers and thunderstorms through the early afternoon on Friday. A high near 66 is expected. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Wednesday, April the 17th of 2024, at 10 after 9, we've got a temperature of 63 degrees with rain showers in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Now, it's time to talk on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and beavercountyradio.com. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
You know how when you pretend that something puts you off, but it really doesn't put you off, and you realize that the day that it comes that what you pretend puts you off is not going to happen? Can I be more vague about that? Maybe. On the phone with me is Dale Reckless. Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy. Dale visits. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Eddie. How are you?
I was driving in this morning, and I knew we were doing this on the phone because you're out of town, and we'll get to that. I was driving in this morning all getting curmudgeonly about, Dale's going to make me do goofy stuff. Oh, wait, no, he's not. Part of me misses that. Why are you out of town first?
So I am up in Erie, Pennsylvania today. No, I'm not late for the eclipse.
Okay.
We actually have three offices up here in Erie, PA. One in Erie, one in Girard, and one in Albion. So I'm doing some coverage up here, just helping out the team in Erie, Pennsylvania.
How many businesses? How many offices did you start with? One? When was that?
So MRS Physical Therapy now has 8 offices.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go to all those offices, but we have 8 offices. I go to 2 different offices, one in Bridgewater, one in Cranberry. But what we're talking about today is one of the brand new offices that we're getting ready to open.
And that's the new one in Cranberry, and that's I heard the commercial. It's about sports. Explain what it is first.
Yeah, so it's called Cranberry Physical Therapy Sports Clinic. It's going to open May 1st, so we're just a couple of weeks away from the grand opening of Cranberry Physical Therapy Sports Clinic, and it's going to be inside of Diesel Sports Complex, which is right on Marshall Road in Cranberry Township.
What made you take this step?
So I realized there was a population that I still was not able to reach with my Cranberry Physical Therapy business, mostly because of the space. So my Cranberry Physical Therapy location on Route 19 next to North Park Lounge, that's going to remain open, and we're going to continue to serve the clients that we have there. But this new sports clinic is going to give us an opportunity to really focus on the sports side of physical therapy, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but there is a difference between sports physical therapy and traditional physical therapy, and we'll talk about that. But what's really unique with this new opportunity with Cranberry Physical Therapy Sports Clinic, it's unique with on-site sports activities that are currently ongoing with Diesel Sports Complex that'll be combined with sports performance training and sports physical therapy. So currently the Diesel Sports Complex has sporting programs that they offer that are inclusive of things like baseball, softball, football. Riverhound Soccer is going to start coming in there for our North Campus. I-9 Sports is now in there doing things like youth flag football. They've added lacrosse, and they also offer sports nutrition classes as well. So it's really an all-around opportunity for any type of sporting activity that you're involved with, not only to come and work out and do your sport, but we're now offering, in addition to the sports performance training, sports physical therapy.
Do you have a typical client that would be looking at the sports performance side of what you do?
Yeah, so it could be for any age client that is doing any kind of sports-related activity. So the sports clinic is kind of broken down into 4 different components. The first component is, of course, the sports physical therapy. The second component is what we call sports testing. The third is sports injury prevention, and the fourth is sports performance stretching. And any of these activities can be done individually, or they can be done, combining multiple components of it. But what I want people to keep in mind is this can be done for all sports. So any kind of sporting activity that you're involved with, we can apply these 4 individual or combined components to helping people improve their ability level, their performance level, injury prevention, or recovery, getting ready to return to sport kind of activities with our sports physical therapy clinic.
Would it be a benefit to someone that doesn't do sports but just wants to be more fit?
Yeah, so someone that's doing a high-level sporting activity or just kind of initiating themselves into an activity that would be kind of sports-related. The great benefit of this clinic, it's inside a Diesel Sports Complex, which if you haven't seen it, go check out their website for Diesel Sports Complex online. But it's a 10,000 square foot warehouse with indoor turf. And they also have an outdoor football-size field with turf. So whether you're working on indoor activities, with all the rain we've had lately, I think everyone's just been doing indoor activities.
Yes.
But not everyone has that opportunity to do the indoor activities, but you can do this at Diesel Sports Complex, whether it's working out to just improve your strength and your fitness, or if you're working towards a specific goal for a specific sport. We can accommodate that at Diesel Sports Complex because it is such a large indoor facility. But then they also have an outdoor facility as well. So as long as it's not thundering and lightning, we can take our clients and the athletes can be outside as they are when they're doing their sporting activities, whether to play lacrosse or football, soccer. All these things are traditionally done in all-weather situations, sun or rain. So we have the outdoor facilities at Diesel Sports Complex to work out our athletes outdoors or indoors. So it's really just giving us every opportunity to work with all types of athletes in this setting.
Dale Reckless is my guest, like he is once a month. It's Teleforum. Dale's website, mrsphysicaltherapy.com. In general, how much more do we know about sports physiology specifically than, say, 15 years ago? Because I see things like this, and I'm like, I wish I'd have known that as a kid.
Yeah, it's really a ton, and it's really hard to keep up with if this is not your focus. So that's why we recommend going to a sports physical therapy clinic that specializes in sports and the things that you're specifically working on. So that leads us kind of into the question of sports physical therapy and how is it different? Mm-hmm. How is sports physical therapy different than traditional physical therapy? So sports physical therapists are physical therapists, just like traditional physical therapists. They take the same class in school. They have to pass the same licensure examination and things like that. But they work specifically with athletes to optimize their workouts, rehabilitate injuries to get them back to their maximum level of physical function or sports-specific condition. And again, no matter what the age or current ability, we're going to be addressing the musculoskeletal concerns that could lead to injury. I actually ran into a gentleman that used to own a large practice, multi-state practice in the Pittsburgh area as well. And he focused on, orthopedics, and he was talking about as an orthopedic therapist, he really didn't do any neurological therapy. So if he had someone with neurological diagnosis come in, he would refer them out to a neurotherapist. So adding this Cranberry Physical Therapy Sports Clinic allows us to add on and basically treat any age and any diagnosis of anyone in the Pittsburgh area. So whether you're in Butler County or Beaver County, you can come out and benefit from our Cranberry Physical Therapy Clinic, which is on Route 19 right next to North Park Lounge, or the new Cranberry Physical Therapy Sports Clinic, which opens May 1st, and that's going to be inside the Diesel Sports Complex.
Tell me the differences. I think I know, but you're always smarter than me with this for sure. Neurological therapy versus orthopedic therapy.
Yeah, so someone that has a neurological diagnosis, that could be someone with a stroke, concussion, vestibular issues, dizziness, vertigo. That kind of falls typically under the neurological umbrella. Where the orthopedic umbrella is someone that, has a knee strain or pain. They hurt their hip, their ankles, sprained their ankle from playing soccer. We have a couple of those individuals right now that we're going to transition to the Diesel Sports Complex as they improve their ability. So once we get them to the Diesel Sports Complex with the Cranberry Physical Therapy Sports Clinic, we can work on soccer drills and lacrosse drills and football drills in real-time situations with the equipment that you would typically see on a football field or a soccer field and things like that. So we'll be able to integrate our physical therapy with our sports physical therapy, into real game situations. So getting people really back and ready to play their sport at a high level.
It is Teleforum. Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy is my guest. Was this patient base underserved in the past, or was this patient base not known because we hadn't learned some of what you just talked about?
No, I think the awareness has been out there. I think it's just been underserved, and that's what we're really excited about at Diesel Sports Complex with the new sports clinic, is this is an opportunity to do something that no one else is really doing. And that's something I'll move in to talk to as well, which is the sports testing. So like I said, we have the sports physical therapy, which we've already talked about and defined. The other programs are the sports testing, the ACL prevention program, and the performance stretch program. So the sports testing program is really unique that not many people are doing it, and I don't know anyone doing it specifically in the Beaver or Butler County area, to be honest. But we're going to offer this for all sports. So no matter what your sporting activity is, we've developed sports testing specific to your sport. So the initial focus is a lot on baseball because historically Diesel Sports Complex, they've got club baseball teams that they run called Steel City Select. So we'll be working with all of their athletes doing sports testing. And the value of sports testing is not just giving you a baseline to work on your sports performance, but it's really focused on injury prevention and mitigating any risks. So anything can be measured to create goals and mitigate risks. So our goal is to take as many of these risk factors off the table as possible through our sports testing that we do. And what we say is if you're not assessing, you're guessing, which means if you're not assessing your athlete, then you're basically just guessing what their abilities are. You're guessing that they're improving what you want them to improve on. You're guessing and hoping that they don't have any risk. So if you're not assessing, then you're just guessing all these things. And what we want to do with our sports testing is we're going to assess all these areas so it takes the guesswork out. So you no longer have to guess, if I'm working on as a volleyball player improving my vertical jump, are you really improving your vertical jump? If you want to work as a baseball player with your pitching or your hitting, is your body and your mechanics really improving where you want them to improve? So our goal through the sports testing is to improve mobility with corrections, improve stability with corrections, things that we find in our sports testing. We're going to be able to give recommendations to areas that they need to work on. And there's a lot of different factors. I'll talk about baseball specifically because we have about 160 baseball athletes we're going to start testing at Diesel Sports Complex. There's extrinsic factors and intrinsic factors. And what I mean by that is extrinsic factors are things that we've recommended over the years from what we've learned with baseball. And these are things like pitch counts, number of innings pitched, the workload that you put on your pitchers and things like that. The intrinsic factors are things that are modifiable and manageable. These intrinsic factors include the sports testing that we're going to start doing that really hasn't been tapped into that much. And so we're looking at intrinsic factors that we know there's research-based areas that we can look at an athlete, we do the sports testing, and we can compare whether their information is normal or not based on the research that's been done over the last 10 years. So some examples of intrinsic factors that we're going to be measuring, we'll just talk about baseball players again, is the amount of shoulder rotation that they have. So, for example, if a baseball player is lacking more than 25 degrees of shoulder internal rotation, then that puts them at a 5-time increased likelihood of injury. If you look at shoulder external rotation, which is going the other way, for every 1 degree of loss of shoulder external rotation, they have a 7% increased likelihood of elbow injury. So we have all this information, all this data that's been done over the last 10 years that gives us comparative norms to look at likelihood of injury based on this information. So when we do our sports testing and we find that a baseball player doesn't have enough range of motion in their shoulder, for example, we can specifically give them things to work on to decrease the risk of injury. So again, our goal is to take as many of these risk factors off the table as possible, and we have data for the shoulder, we have data for the spine, we have data for your neck range of motion, we have data for your hip range of motion. All these things we have information on, not just for baseball players, but for most athletes and most sports we have information. So for a hockey player or a soccer player, there's a ratio of how strong your hip adductors, your ability to bring your leg towards the other leg, compared to your hip abductors, meaning bring your leg away from your body. Okay. There's a certain ratio you should have of strength that's within normal limits. And when that ratio's off, it means you have an increased likelihood of a groin injury. So this sports testing is going to really focus on mitigating risks for all these athletes to help decrease the likelihood of having an injury.
Dale, as you're talking, I'm sitting here moving my hip back and forth wondering, even without you here, you got me doing stuff. It's amazing. Is there a difference in the numbers when you talk about the general range? You test the shoulder of a 14-year-old versus the shoulder of an 18-year-old. Do those numbers change?
So there is normative data for age groups, and some of those age groups are pretty similar. So when we look at age groups, and we really don't start testing much till about 12 or 13 years old. Mm-hmm. We don't do much going younger than that. Really, kids younger than that should just be out, having fun, working on their athleticism. Overall, there's certainly good, programs to do when you're, 12 and under that we encourage. But there isn't a lot of data anyway for that younger age group. So we're really focusing on the 12 and older age group. And there are some differences. Typically, they're lumped in a pretty similar age group. So usually testing, 14 to 18-year-olds have data, 19 to 21-year-olds have data, and things like that. But we're looking, and you see different things at different ages. It's through growth spurts and things like that. You'll see some aches and pains that are sometimes normal, but sometimes abnormal as you go through growth spurts, which anyone that has kids know, that kids goes through a growth spurt and their knees hurt them for a couple days. I have some younger kids that are going through that right now with their quick growth spurts, and some of those things are within normal limits. But what we're talking about with the sports testing are things are not within normal limits. So, some kids have hypomobility, meaning they don't have enough motion, and some are hypermobility, which means they have too much motion. So that hypermobile athlete, we work on a lot of stabilization and correction with that. Where the hypomobile patient, where they don't have enough motion, we want to improve their mobility with corrections that we give them. And these are things that could be done before, every game. And it's interesting. I went to the home opener for the Pirates this year, and I'm watching the pitcher go out and do his warm-ups. And I can tell just from watching him warm up that he is doing specific things that he was told to do by his sports physical therapist for the team, for the Pirates, that I can tell were likely given to him specific to what his needs were to improve his hip range of motion, his ankle range of motion. I could tell he was working through what we call corrections, these specific corrections that are given to him individually based on the results of what his needs are. And that's the important thing with the sports testing is everyone's a little bit different. So there isn't the same thing for everybody, and a lot of us learn these dynamic warm-ups and things we do, pre-sport, which are important and good to do, but there are also specific corrections that an individual should do geared just towards them based on what their range of motion limits are, what their strength limitations are. And that's what the sports testing is going to offer these athletes coming into Cranberry Physical Therapy Sports Clinic.
Dale Reckless and his monthly visit, this one by phone. If you've got questions, this is being live Facebook feeded. Post your questions in the comments section. More with Dale and Flexibility After News on Teleforum. It's Beaver County Radio.
Beaver County Radio, your hometown radio station. You're listening live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, proud to call Beaver County home.
Here's Dale Reckless from MRS Physical Therapy as he explains the importance of pre-sports testing to help you reduce the risk of injury.
The intrinsic factors are looking at things within our body that could be causing the problem. So that we start to look at as physical therapists, shoulder range of motion, forces at the elbow, things like that. We're looking at the whole kinetic chain. For example, turning your head side to side. If you have less than 39 degrees of that motion, you have a 9 times increased likelihood of an injury. So these intrinsic factors are both measurable and modifiable. So as a physical therapist, I can take a baseball player or any kind of athlete, I can do my tests on them and see if they're within normal limits or outside of normal limits. And based on research that's been done, I can tell if there's a likelihood of injury or not.
If you need physical therapy for any reason, choose the place your friends and neighbors do. MRS Physical Therapy in Bridgewater and Cranberry. Visit mrsphysicaltherapy.com.
When accidents and injuries happen, you need the experience and insight of the legal team at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George. Since 1934, they've been committed to the physical and financial recovery of personal injury victims. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, a law firm of AV-rated attorneys and super lawyers. Attorney Larry Kelly.
That we establish relationships with our clients, because I still believe that relationships still matter. That this isn't strictly business between me and the client, that there's a relationship that develops. And there's nothing more important, I think, in any attorney-client situation than the client believing that the attorney actually cares about them personally.
For your initial consultation, call the law firm of Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George at 724-658-8535 or online at lgkg.com. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George, keeping promises for over 80 years.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Curtis Walsh.
Good Wednesday morning on this April the 17th of 2024. At 31 minutes past 9, we've got a temperature of about 63 degrees with rain showers in Beaver County. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after this look at news. The coroner was called to the 1000 block of 10th Avenue this morning in Beaver Falls. Beaver County Radio spoke to neighbors of the incident, and they say a man was killed after allegedly breaking into a home. A man allegedly broke into a residence through a cellar or window and was shot. One neighbor said she heard gunfire around 5:30 a.m., and we have heard that there were possibly up to 3 shots fired. We are still waiting for more details from the City of Beaver Falls Police Department. The road closure on Route 51 could potentially last over a month. Heavy rain caused a landslide and the collapse of Darlington Road all the way down the Route 51. Darlington Road does remain closed while Cove Hill Road acts as a turnaround. Route 51 is closed in both directions between Junction Auto Service and Cove Hill Road. The closure is expected to be in effect until at least May 31st, according to a spokesperson for Falston. The PennDOT Geotechnical Unit is going to be on site today, according to Steve Cohen, PennDOT District 11 press officer. He says crews will be taking material off the hillside, and Cohen said he's hopeful that the crews will be able to open the road in a few days if it's determined that the hillside is stable enough. The Rochester Beaver Bridge closure scheduled for Friday has been changed to Saturday. The Beaverboro Police Department says the closure will take place from 7 a.m. until 11:30 p.m. During the closure, alternate routes will be designated to redirect traffic and appropriate detour signage will be in place to guide motorists. They are asking residents to use an alternate route if possible. Crews will be there filming Mayor of Kingstown, starring Jeremy Renner. ANCOR, the leading voice in Washington for community-based disability services providers, has announced that John Palmer, a direct support professional employed at Beaver County Rehabilitation Center, has been named the recipient of the 2024 Pennsylvania DSP of the Year Award. Palmer joins 54 other honorees nationwide in the 2024 edition of ANCOR's annual Direct Support Professional of the Year Awards program. This year's awards garnered a record-breaking 492 nominations. The U.S. Coast Guard has reopened the Ohio River in Pittsburgh to maritime traffic nearly 4 days after 26 barges broke loose and floated away during flooding. The Coast Guard had barred vessels from a stretch of the river north of the city after dozens of barges got loose from their moorings late Friday, striking the Swickley Bridge and smashing into a pair of marinas. One of the barges sank and was located by sonar Tuesday. The barge operator, Campbell Transportation Company, has begun work to salvage the other barges. There were no injuries reported. And the child welfare system in Pennsylvania faces a staffing crisis that affects children and families throughout the system. The Child Welfare Resource Center says about 30 counties report caseworker vacancy rates of 30% or higher. Danielle Smith reports on state lawmakers' search for answers.
At a state Senate hearing on child welfare challenges, Terry Clark with the Pennsylvania Council of Children, Youth, and Family Services suggested the Departments of Education and Human Services work together to develop a STEM-focused model for human services. It could offer young people opportunities for training, apprenticeships, and careers in child welfare, juvenile justice, and behavioral health.
We spend a lot of time focusing on colleges and universities, but we believe we might want to back this up a little bit and start looking at middle schools and high schools, trying to reinvigorate, get younger students motivated and trying to come into this field.
Clark says some agencies have asked supervisors and even people from other departments to take on caseworker responsibilities. A recent Philadelphia study found community umbrella agencies had an average 45% turnover rate, with vacancies ranging from 21 to 60 positions.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Breezy with showers and thunderstorms expected through the early afternoon. We could see wind gusts over 20 miles per hour. It'll be very warm with a high of 77. The showers and thunderstorms will continue tonight. We'll drop down to a low of 56. Sunshine tomorrow with a high of 73. And showers and thunderstorms through the early afternoon on Friday. A high near 66 is expected. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Wednesday, April the 17th of 2024, at 36 minutes past 9, we've got a temperature of 64 degrees with cloudy skies in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Talk about what's happening in Beaver County or around the world on Teleforum. 724-843-1888. 724-774-1888. It's Teleforum with Eddie Crow.
Once a month, Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy comes by and we get caught up with all things physical therapy. Today, he's here with me. Not here with me, he's on the phone, but Dale, I want to make sure I didn't press the wrong button. Can you still hear me?
I'm here, yep.
What a professional start to the second half. Dale, did I press the button right? We've been talking about sports therapy. for the people that weren't listening, just give an update of the new facility, because the new facility sounds absolutely state-of-the-art, professional level, like pro team level facilities.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So it's called Cranberry Physical Therapy Sports Clinic, and it's inside the Diesel Sports Complex, which is on Marshall Road in Cranberry Township. Diesel Sports Complex was built about 2 years ago. It's a 10,000 square foot warehouse with indoor turf, and it also has an outdoor turf football size field as well to work on sports performance, sports physical therapy, sports testing, ACL prevention program, and sports performance stretching. But I want to talk just a little bit more about sports testing before we move on to the other two components that we haven't talked about yet.
Okay.
Because it is diverse. We talked kind of specifically about baseball, and we can do this sports testing for any sport, but I'm really excited about the volleyball testing that we're going to start. So the volleyball testing was created by the American Volleyball Coaches Association, and it's called VPI, or Volleyball Performance Index. And it has a special interest for me because my daughter plays volleyball and she loves it. But what this VPI, or Volleyball Performance Index, does is it's 8 different measures that we look at that kind of give you an assessment of a volleyball athlete and what their athleticism is. So we look at their acceleration, which is their ability, how quickly they run 15 feet as fast as they can. We look at their swing velocity, which is how hard they hit the ball. We look at their attack height, which is at what height you can hit with power. We look at the individual's height, of course, and we look at their reach, which is just how high they reach standing with their fingertips. Mm-hmm. But then we look at their vertical jump, how high they can jump. We can look at their block touch, which is with 2 hands how high they get to block a ball. And then we look at their pro agility, which is their ability to run 15 feet sideline to sideline, and we time that as well. So these 8 measures give you a what's called a volleyball performance index, which is an overall score. And what's really great about this is because they've been doing research with this for over 10 years, is that we have normative data for what the average volleyball player is able to do that performs at the Division I level, Division II level, and Division III level. So the individual can then look at their stats compared to what colleges are looking for in these athletes and see if they're in tune with those areas or not. And then even more importantly, what I love about this is that as an athlete is looking at improving their individual skills in their game, there's actually something measurable. So it goes back to what I said from the very beginning of the show. If you're not assessing, then you're just guessing. So if you're not assessing what your abilities are, then how do you really know that your workouts are effective? So this is a way for us to measure the effectiveness of your volleyball athletes' workouts. Are they improving the areas that they want to improve on? Are they actually hitting the ball harder now? Are they actually, is their vertical improving and things like that? So it's not just a good thing it's not just good data to compare you to the college level athlete, but it's a good baseline to get so you can compare yourself as you're growing and as you're improving. So, testing someone as an 8th grader, they can retest in a year as a 9th grader and say, am I improving these areas that I want to improve on? Is my volleyball athleticism getting to the point that I want it to get to based on the way I'm working out and doing things like that. So, and again, going back to we talked about baseball doing this. This is specifically a volleyball test. But we can do these different sports testing with any sport, no matter what it is that you're looking at. So it really has a grand opportunity, no matter what sport you're looking at, improving your abilities in.
How has that been received by, let's say, college programs? Are they buying into the data as much? It reminds me of like a physiological money ball. You're putting information on paper that they've never seen before. Are they using that information, or is there a hesitancy, or is it changing?
Yeah, so this is stuff really done at the elite high level at this point in time, and what I'm doing is I'm bringing it to every athlete in the Beaver and Butler County area. So I'm bringing the opportunity, to the high school teams, to the club teams, to provide that information. It's currently just being done at the high level elite athlete. If you're the best volleyball player in the state, then you get invited to certain clubs and certain tournaments.
Sure.
And that's where they're doing this testing right now, just for those couple of athletes that are at that elite level. But it's not currently being offered to everybody. And that's what I'm doing is I'm giving the opportunity for everyone at a high school level, a club level, whatever, at middle school level, whatever it is, to take advantage of this testing so they can really see and get some measurable opportunities to see where they want to improve on with their skill and with their game.
What age would you say this is a good time to get a baseline of all of this data?
Between 12 and 13, definitely 13 and up. I'd say there's probably a couple 12-year-old athletes that might benefit, but more or less 13 and up, I would say, would be the best athletes to start looking at this information and testing with. And
is that the same regardless of the sport? That's a good age area, is it?
Yep, yeah.
It is Dale Reckless, MRS Physical Therapy. He is my guest on Teleforum. I want to go back. You were talking about sports testing. Every sport is different, but are there some tests that are universal as far as getting a baseline?
Yeah, that's a great question. Boy, that's not even a planned question, but that's the best question you could have asked me, Eddie. Appreciate that. So, yes, there is. So there's something called the FMS test, and the FMS test is a functional measure systems test that we're going to be doing on all athletes, no matter what your sport is, because it's been researched to benefit everybody that's that is doing any kind of athletic sport. And what it does is it looks at your overall range of motion in your shoulder, your hips, your ankles, and then it gives you an overall score. And then it kind of puts you in a green, yellow, or red zone based on what your score is. Green means you're good. You're good throughout all the areas. Yellow means there's a couple areas that you should work on. Red means that you're at a higher risk of injury based on what we saw from the evaluation. So we're going to be doing this FMS testing on all athletes, no matter what the activity, no matter what the sport, and then we will have sport-specific testing that we're going to do based on what their sporting needs are. So there is definitely a baseline for every athlete that we're going to do, and then there's sport-specific testing that we're going to do on top of that.
Where do those baseline numbers come from?
Years and years of research. So this testing's been around for 20 years. It's been around for a long time, and they've done research for a long time. And we don't do anything unless it's been researched and it's based on science. The things you see on TikTok and Facebook and things like that. That just someone came up with. We don't get into that. We just focus on the things that have been researched and have scientific basis with studies over years and years of research, and that's where all this data comes from. This data that's been collected over the years, for example, for this volleyball testing, they have over 10 years of testing for that, and the FMS is the same. It's been around for a long time, and there's been a lot of research that's been done to give us good quantifiable data that we can apply to our athletes.
You mentioned. I'm sorry, please.
I was going to say, which brings me to the next topic that I wanted to talk about, which is the ACL injury prevention program. So this ACL injury prevention program is based on a group called Sports Metrics. So Sports Metrics has been around for a while, 20-plus years, and they have researched ACL injuries and things you can do to prevent ACL injuries. So we'll be offering this program at Diesel Sports Complex as well, which it'll be a 2 to 3 time a week, 6-week program for individuals that want to learn activities to prevent ACL injuries. And ACL injuries are devastating. So anyone that's had one, I've had 2 myself, so I know all about them. They're devastating to an athlete because they're knocking you out for maybe up to a year as far as getting back to your sport again. So the Sports Metrics program assists in reducing the risks of serious knee injuries and also enhances athletic performance. Again, it's a scientifically proven, evidence-based program for both patients and healthy athletes. So it doesn't mean you don't have to have an injury to perform it. A lot of healthy athletes are doing this as a preventative measure. And it's been proven to reduce the incidence of non-contact ACL injuries and re-injuries. There's been information and data up to 48% reduction in these ACL injuries. And as any athlete knows, an ACL injury is devastating. It's, you're going to have surgery and it's going to knock you out for a long period of time. But at Cranberry Physical Therapy Sports Clinic, we're certified sports metrics instructors. So you have to be certified in delivering this in order to instruct others, clients and patients to do the program. And it's part of the rehabilitation program in our clinic, as well as what we're going to offer to training to athletes in our area. So again, it focuses on injury prevention and athletic performance for both the healthy and the recovering athlete as well. And what it includes, what the Sports Metrics program is, it includes things like plyometrics, agility and speed, and sports injury testing. There'll be a video analysis of jumping and landing mechanics, so we'll look at what your body does when you jump and land, because that gives you information as far as you being a likelihood of having a risk of ACL injury. And then we'll also be able to, using this program, we'll be able to make recommendations for ACL return to play when your knee is ready to get back to the game again, as well as detailed training for athletes and patients as well for things they can do for regular training. So again, usually it's a 2 to 3 time a week, 6-week program for an athlete. Pay attention to the Diesel Sports Complex webpage as well as our Facebook page, and as we start getting the dates down, we'll be posting those dates on our Facebook pages for when there'll be an opportunity to do the ACL injury prevention program through the Sports Metric system.
It is mrsphysicaltherapy.com. Dale Reckless is my guest. Dale, I was told once that the ACL injuries coming up are because musculature, we have out-evolved our skeleton. How close to right was I told?
Well, what I see happen, well, of course, there's contact ACL injuries, which
sure.
They're really not preventable unless you just don't play a sport. So we're talking about the non-contact injuries of ACL. And I have a 12-year-old niece that just tore her ACL playing soccer. And what happens a lot in soccer, it's a deceleration injury versus an acceleration injury, where it's when you're slowing down really quickly and turning. That's a non-contact injury that increases the likelihood of tearing your ACL. So things happen that are non-contact when you're playing a game that can be prevented, and that's what the Sports Metrics program is, training the muscles the right way. So sometimes we are doing too much in a sport, meaning we're doing the same sport for too long of a period of time, and that can cause overbuilding one muscle group up when another muscle group is not being focused on, and that could lead to injury. If you're not working on proper dynamic warm-ups and proper neuromuscular systems of how your quadriceps and hamstrings should fire, for example, that could lead to ACL injury. So that's what the Sports Metrics program does, is it helps you to learn what you need to do to focus on the right muscles of your body to basically stay balanced. It's really all about having a balanced musculoskeletal system. A balanced musculoskeletal system should not be injured. So if we can get, through our sports testing and through our ACL prevention program, if we can teach these athletes how to maintain a well-balanced body, just like you have a well-balanced diet, you need to have a well-balanced body as well, then we are going to mitigate and lower the risk of injury for any athlete that's out there, no matter what their sport that they're doing.
You said something earlier I want to go back to before we run out of time. We were talking about playing and club teams and getting busy, and you don't really do any testing if the kid's under 12 years old. You said that's when a kid should be outside playing. Do you see kids that one sport's their deal and that's their deal all the time? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of data out there that shows that you should, for pitchers, for example, you should only be throwing, 8 months out of the year, and you should shut down for 4 months. Doing talk shows like this and trying to educate parents, educate coaches, that's really the best we can do. We can't, walk anyone, through that. We can just show them the data that we have. We can educate them so they know what's in the best interest of their kid. But Does it always happen? Of course it doesn't. There's still, kids that play, 12 months out of the year, soccer, basketball, things like that, without, having the downtime and the shutdown time. So what we try to encourage is just, again, having the best balanced lifestyle with doing multiple sports as possible. That's our recommendation, as well as having a balanced body, which means, you're working on your shoulder internal rotators and external rotators, so the ratio there is strong. The hip AB and AD ductors, so the ratio there is strong. But most people don't know that. That's where our sports testing comes in. Our sports testing is going to give you that information so that you know what to work on and how to work on it. Because right now, otherwise, you're just, like I said, you're just guessing. And when you're just guessing, you're never going to come up with the right conclusion. And the right conclusion is going to come from our sports testing. We also have the fourth component that we haven't talked about is the sports performance stretching, and that is a one-on-one assisted stretching program to enhance sports performance and reduce risk of injury. It's a 30 to 60-minute one-on-one full-body stretch, and the stretch is catered towards your specific sport. So that's the fourth component of what we're going to offer at the Cranberry Physical Therapy Sports Clinic. So now we have the sports physical therapy, we've got the sports testing, we've got the ACL injury prevention program, and we have the sports performance stretching program. So this is really, a one-stop at the Diesel Sports Complex that we're offering for anyone that wants to come in. And you don't have to be doing a sport at Diesel Sports Complex to participate. You can just come to our sports clinic, as a side from that. And the number to call to get involved with our sports physical therapy clinic is 724-728-7550.
728, repeat it, 728-7550. Yeah.
728-7550.
All right.
And you can call to get an appointment at our Cranberry Physical Therapy Sports Clinic. And again, it's for Beaver County residents, Butler County residents. It's only about a half an hour tops for the Beaver County residents. I've done the drive myself, so make sure that I have outreach to all people in the area. Diesel Sports Complex is right on Marshall Road, which is right behind North Park Lounge, essentially. So it's only about a 2-mile drive from my Cranberry Physical Therapy Clinic, so it's real close by to that clinic as well, which is right next to North Park Lounge. So, the MRS Physical Therapy and Bridgewater clients will be doing the sports testing there as well. So if you don't want to go all the way to the Diesel Sports Complex, we'll also be doing the sports physical therapy testing at MRS Physical Therapy in Bridgewater, and that is in the heart of Bridgewater, right in Stone Point Landing, right on Market Street there. So really these are great opportunities for our community to take advantage of that's not currently being offered in other places. So that's what I'm really excited about. This is a new opportunity to really get your athlete in tune, to have an awareness of what their abilities are, what their weaknesses are, what to focus on, so that when you take your kid to the gym doing sports performance, you know what to focus on, what areas that they need corrections with. So we're going to decrease the likelihood of them being injured by mitigating as many risks as we can for our athletes.
Dale, promise me one thing, okay?
You got it. What?
Next month when you come visit, we do it in person and you have me do goofy stuff. I missed it.
Right, yeah. But it was a good time, especially for those watching on Facebook, too. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Dale Reckless of MRS Physical Therapy. I missed him poking and prodding me. I'm going to have to sort through that later on in the show.
Looking for Chrysler rebates and incentives? Check out these deals at the Beaver Valley Auto Mall in Monaca. If you're in need of tires, they have just what you need. Right now, until the end of April, for a limited time, buy 3 tires and get the 4th tire for just $1, available now on a special Chrysler program. That's 4 tires for the price of 3. Open a new Chrysler credit card. Earn a $100 statement credit on your first purchase, plus get 0% of purchases for $499 and up. Beaver Valley Auto Mall and the Chrysler program want to help you get ready for the warmer weather driving ahead. Get your new tires and save on a new Chrysler credit card. All available now at the Beaver Valley Auto Mall, your trusted source for exceptional vehicles at a great price. There are nearly 300 cars, trucks, and SUVs to look at, and most of which have the gas mileage estimates limited. So it's easy to choose which one will save you the most. Tire sale ends this month, so hurry to the Beaver Valley Auto Mall near the mall in Monaca.
Friendly Federal Credit Union, you've got a friend.
Whether it's Little League or the big leagues, it's time to get out and play ball. Friendly Federal Credit Union reminds you that every team looks forward to playing at home in front of a live crowd. Seeing loyal fans can help any player feel more comfortable. Just like a home game in baseball, Friendly Federal